Hello, this is Trish Kelly, Data Manager for Federal Programs and Oversight. Welcome to the EIS Data Mini Webinar. The department's work is motivated by its Best for All strategic plan, which focuses on academics, student readiness, and educators. Our agenda today focuses on EIS. We'll discuss starting and ending enrollments in the school year, Extract 40 changes in values, cross-validation of extracts 40 and 41, checking your data in your student information system and EIS, the EIS homepage, including resources and login, EIS research queries. We'll also discuss how to reconcile counts that FPO and other teams provide with data that you download from EIS research queries. We'll conclude with resources and contact information. EIS, Education Information System. EIS is the department's operational database. It is the primary data source for federal reporting requirements, and it is updated nightly with data transmitted from LEA student information systems and other databases that contain student, teacher, school, and LEA data. Starting the school year. At the beginning of the school year or enrollment, for student classifications and other fields that are tied to enrollment, enter begin date as the enrollment date or the date the status begins. Be sure to satisfy the ADM audit report requirement that students have at least one student classification. This can be achieved in several ways. For example, you may use the regular R student classification for students who do not have another student classification. Alternatively, you may use the regular R student classification for all students, or you may use another approach that meets your needs. Placement status ends during the school year. If the student classification placement status ends during the year, enter the student classification end date as a date the status ends. For example, suppose Tom is a general education student who enrolls in the LEA in August. In October, Tom is placed in the Bedford County Juvenile Detention Center, which is flagged with student classification JDC01. His first day in the facility is October 12th, and his last day is October 18th. The JDC01 student classification begin date is October 12th, the date the status begins. The JDC01 student classification end date is October 18th, the date the status ends. Ending enrollments in the school year. For students who complete the year, an end date can be used, or the end date can be left blank. The blank value indicates that the student completed the year. Check with your SIS vendor on which approach works best for your student information system. Student classifications in other fields identify students as part of subgroups for accountability, funding, reporting, and other purposes. So it is important to not remove student classifications in other fields at the end of an enrollment or school year. It's also important not to roll over student classifications in other fields that are tied to enrollment to the next school year. Again, the status applies for the year, thus the field should not be rolled over. By contrast, name, date of birth, native language, immigrant status, and other fields that are a permanent part of the student's record may roll over to the next school year. Extract 40, changes in birth country, immigrant, and year entered ninth grade. So we'll start with these three fields. When LEAs change birth country, immigrant, and year entered ninth grade, EIS will generate an informational error message that contains the previous value and a request to confirm the new value. If the new value is correct, no further action is needed. If the new value is incorrect, please revise your data in your student information system and restage your data in EIS. Extract 40, changes in native language. Native language will not upload as blank or English if English background was a value other than E native English speaker in 2017-18 or subsequent years. Other changes to native language will generate informational error messages that include the previous value and a request to confirm the new value. Check your data and submit revisions if needed. Extract 40 changes in date first enrolled in U.S. school. Date first enrolled in U.S. school cannot be uploaded as blank if English language background was a value other than E, English native speaker, in 2017-18 or later, or the immigrant flag was yes in 2017-18 or later. Other changes to date first enrolled in U.S. school generate informational error messages that include the previous value and a request to confirm the new value. Check your data and submit revisions if needed. Okay, now we'll examine cross-validation of extracts 40 and 41. As we've just discussed, the business rules for date first enrolled in U.S. school and native language on extract 40 are tied to the English language background on extract 41, which has led to the following cross-validation approach. English language background is a required field on extracts 40 and 41 for 2017-18 and subsequent years. English language background is set and edited on extract 41. English language background is included on extract 40 only for validation. Extracts that include blank or invalid English language background values generate fatal errors and will not load. Checking your data in your student information system and EIS. It's important to regularly review your LEA's data in your student information system and EIS. Take advantage of online and on-site opportunities to learn about your SIS and EIS. If your LEA permits staff to access EIS, request a login. If you are not able to obtain an EIS login, collaborate with your colleagues in attendance, federal programs, technology, and other teams. Use the EIS research queries to compare the data in EIS with the data in your student information systems. If there are discrepancies that are results from your student information system data, correct them and restage your data in EIS. Sometimes what you're going to find, however, though, is that your data are complete and accurate in SIS, but have not fully loaded to EIS. In those cases, it may be that a processing error has occurred that has prevented your data from loading fully from your SIS to EIS. So please check for upload errors, which may be block approval errors, dynamic errors, or extract file errors. On the next couple of slides, we're discussing EIS homepage resources and login. Here you see the EIS homepage, including the URL, as well as a look at some of the resources that are available. These resources include the EIS access form, the EIS contact list, which not only identifies contacts for your district, but may also identifies contacts for districts throughout the state. That might be helpful for you for contacting neighboring districts or perhaps districts who use the same SIS package. A couple of go-to resources are the data dictionary and appendices and the extracts. And the go-to team for support is the district technology support team, available at dt.support@tn.gov. To access EIS, use the single sign-on page in your Orion account using the URL shown here, which will bring you to the Please Login screen. Click here and then enter your SSO email address and password on the next screen. That will bring you to the applications page, which will have an icon for each of the applications to which you have access. To check your EIS data, choose Data Reports, and then select Research Queries. And from the research query list, choose the one that provides the data of interest. For FPO data, use these research queries: English language learners, homeless student list, immigrant students, staff current assignments, student classifications, student withdrawals, and targeted assistance list. The student classifications research query is an important one. It addresses many key fields, including active duty military dependent 4, direct certification of economic disadvantage J, foster care FOSSO 1, juvenile detention centers JDC 01 through JDC 17, migrant I, National Guard military dependent 5, reserve military dependent 6, runaway U, and Title 1T. For example, to check your foster care data, choose the Student Classifications Research Query. From the Student Classifications drop-down box, select Foster Care, FOSSO 1. Enter the year as 2022 for the 22-23 school year. Select a school or all schools. To run the query, select View Report. To download in CSV or Excel format, use the file icon to the right of Find Next. The research query results follow a standard format. School and student identifiers are on the left. The foster care FOSSO 1 student classification is on the right. In this section, a few comments on how to reconcile the data the FPO and other teams provide you, and usually in the form of counts that are unduplicated by LEA or school, with the data that you download from EIS, which are student level data. Keep in mind that EIS is a transactional database. Excel files downloaded from EIS research queries will contain no-shows, duplicate records, multiple enrollments, and varying enrollment periods. But typically, FPO and other teams will be sending you unduplicated counts by school or LEA. So in order to check your data that you're downloading from EIS against those counts, you will need to eliminate no-shows and duplicate records. You will need to address multiple enrollments. For unduplicated LEA level counts, include 1 enrollment per student per school. For an unduplicated LEA level count, include 1 enrollment per student per LEA. For an unduplicated school level count, include 1 enrollment per student per school. It's also important to include only enrollments that are relevant for the count period. So for an October 1 count, you would need to exclude students who enrolled after October 1 or withdrew before October 1. For the year count, you would need to include students enrolled any time during the school year, even if they are no longer active in the district. And then as your final adjustment, you'll have to take into account that any revisions made in SIS and EIS after the data were downloaded from EIS will not be reflected in the counts. For suggestions on how to make these changes, please consult the FPO data manual. We'll conclude with resources and contact information. For additional information, please refer to the FPO data manual. It is available in the ePlan and in the TDOE resources folder, as well as the department's Planning and Monitoring Guidance and Reference Materials webpage. For contact information, if you have questions about FPO data and coding, please contact me, Trish Kelly, at trish.kelly@tn.gov. If you have questions about EIS errors and restaging problems, please contact the District Technology Support Team at dt.support@tn.gov. Thank you very much for joining me in this session. I hope it was helpful to you. Again, please do contact me if you have questions.